on the move from a site in Newport where they've been for many years, many of you will know, to a new, what they call a gin palace on the outskirts of Cowes, which will be, you know, great. You see them often on the mainland. You see big rows of car dealerships, and they're aiming to have that sort of premises out at Three Gates Road, which is really nice to see. You know, sort of it's investment on in the island, a lot of money going into it. So we're very pleased to report on those things. Yes, we do report on when businesses have made redundancies, downsized or gone into administration. Hopefully there's not too many of those tales. But we also want to accentuate the positives, as I say. But the key motivation for us is what's interesting to the reader. Now, to be brutally honest, you have to leave it to us to be the judges of what we think is interesting. And I'm sure your ISP 432654 accreditation, I'll make that one up, but it's big news for you. But will it mean anything to the man on the Vauxhall omnibus? I don't know. You know, that's, if we're going to report it, we're going to have to say why it's good for them. It's no use saying to us, we've got this accreditation, without really explaining how it will benefit those people. You know, so you walk into your business and they'll be given, I don't know, a better service in some way, and explaining that in layman's terms. That's what a mainstream media organisation is all about, doing those sort of things. So that is key to getting your messages across. On the other hand, if you're opening an interesting new shop, a health food cafe and a new branch for a well-established estate agent featuring in this week's business pages, and as I explained, plans for Three Gates Road were on a strong news page last week. And of course we're interested in those sorts of stories. They're key to what makes a newspaper interesting. People walk down a high street and they see a new business and, oh, what's that all about? And if they know a little bit more about it because it's been in the local paper and things, then that's great for us, it's great for the business, and it's great for the reader. So, hello. The other thing to be aware of is that we won't be replacing your advertising with free messages about your special offers, contact details or opening hours. So we might write a nice business story about your new branch or anything like that, but we won't be telling them that, you know, it's 10% off for the first month or whatever, or, you know, you'll be opening from 9 till 5 Monday to Friday and 9 till 1 on a Saturday. That's the advertising's job. We've got a business to run as well, and we have to be aware of our need to draw the line, I think is the best way to put it, about whether you are getting free advertising or getting a useful news message across. And that's a tough decision to make sometimes. You try and be kind to people, but at the same time they have to realise that business is business, and we are a business trying to make our profits as well. So in a minute I'm going to sort of open myself up to questions. I don't want to talk for a long time. I want to hear any questions you've got, anything I can help with, any ideas. But I just want to go into a little bit about how you get your message to us, and this will apply to the IsleOfWight radio as well. You can email or phone the news desk to discuss potential stories, just to perhaps get a feel for whether we would be interested in it. You can request a photographer, for a new shop opening or an open day that you might be having, something like that. We can't always say we'll come, and we very rarely say we will definitely come, because we never know when County Hall's going to go on fire or something like that, and our photographer gets diverted. So if you hear us say, we'll do our best to get there, it's not as shrugging you off. It's us saying we never say definitely we'll come, because we have to be aware that our photographers may be called out to something else more pressing. But the main point of contact you get with any media organisation is through a press release. And I don't know if any of you are used to putting press releases together. Show of hands, perhaps any of you put press releases together to, quite a fair few. but there's some key points in doing a press release that I think are worth mentioning. Those would be, make it comprehensive, clear, yet concise. So you want to get the message about what you're talking about. And one of the key things we say to our young journalists when they come and join us is the 5 W's. The who, what, when, where, why. And whenever you're writing a press release, you should be thinking about those things. It's absolutely key to any story that goes in the paper, any press release, any piece of information, that you're getting those key points across. So you're having an open day. It's on Saturday the 2nd of October. It's from 10 AM to 3 PM. It's at your new premises on Dobner Industrial Estate. Why you're doing it, because you've got a new range of products that you wish to show off to the public, and you think that they may be revolutionary and never been seen before on the Isle of Wight. So that's the why. And you go through the 5 things to get those messages into your press release. Obviously, try and use good, clear English. We will do our best to translate it into good, clear English if it's not. That's our job. I'd like to think we do it most of the time. Not, there's been occasions where I scratched my head and thought somebody's copied and pasted this press release, and I might have a word with the reporter about that. But get those messages across clearly, concisely, as I say. But the absolutely crucial other points about the press release are: 1, contacts. So we want to know who you are. You send back to you with requests. We might say, oh, this is really interesting. I'd like us to go along and get some pictures of this. So we bring you up and say, can we come and take some pictures tomorrow at 3 o'clock? And we'd have that conversation. We might want some more information. There might be something that you hadn't thought of that we think would be useful to the reader. And we need to have that clear points of contact that we can get to you and the people who can answer our questions. I think that there's a really vital things. I know this sounds very simplistic in this, but you'd be amazed at how many press releases we receive that don't actually contain those vital points. So that's about it, really. It's very easy. We are interested. I want to stress that the county press, and I'm sure IsleOfWight Radio would say the same, very interested in getting the messages across of positive things that happen on the Isle of Wight. I've already had a conversation this morning about something that some things that are current that we could perhaps not prepared to sit there and sit back and let it happen to them. So as a paper under my editorship, I've tried to move us into a situation where we do a bit more in terms of supporting things on the island. I think we get behind all sorts of groups and organisations, events, literary festivals coming up. I'm talking at that. There's lots of support for that. Isle of Wight Day on Saturday. That's a big thing that we're hoping will become a really big event for the island as it goes forward. And I hope that those sort of things make the island a more successful, happy, prosperous place that we can all benefit from through business, through social life, and in any other way. It is key to life that businesses on the island are successful, and we're there to try and help that happen. As I say, I don't want to bang on for too long, so any questions from you, I'd be very happy to answer.
What's the readership of County Press, and how are people interacting with the media?
The last set of stats we've got, we had a tremendous figure of 91% readership. So that's across paper and online, which is pretty much unprecedented throughout the country. And I'm not trying to sound too boastful about this, because a lot of it is down to the fact that we are an island, and as an island, the population here has got a great interest in what goes on around it. So we benefit from that tremendously. But I'd like to think we try and do a good job. We're currently selling about 27,000 copies of the paper each week. We are the highest selling weekly paper in the country now, because circulations of weekly and evening newspapers have gone through the floor in recent years because of the internet. We have fabulous stats on our website, around about 2.5 million page impressions in a month, between 180 and 200,000 unique users, which is a bit odd considering the population is 140 odd thousand. But there's reasons for that, and there's expats and there's all sorts of people who read it as well outside. So yeah, I like to think we get to a lot of people, and I think most people will tell you that they see the county press in some form or other during the week.
Perfect.
Anybody else? Yes.
Is there a risk, you mentioned the website, is there a risk that in keeping the website up to date that it harms the circulation of your printed product?
There is very much a risk of that, and I think that's the one that newspaper publishers around the world are struggling with. We have a policy of basically keeping things for the paper which we know we have to ourselves. That gets a bit difficult and a bit more complex than you'd think, because you're not quite sure whether somebody's going to sort of break it elsewhere on a Thursday afternoon, and then you feel as if you're behind the game. But if you've kept it back to the paper yourself, it's another reason for people to buy the paper, because there's lots of stuff in there that they won't have seen elsewhere. There's some stories that have to go on the website straight away. If there's a major fire, or the ferries aren't running or something like that, and we need to get that information out to people. So it's always a balancing act, and it's one that we work hard on, day in, day out, having those judgments and discussions.
Just a question, obviously, as you started off, you mentioned the county press and referenced our Wight Radio. Obviously, on the island, there is a media landscape. You've got the county press, so on Wight Radio, Lifestyle, and people like Style of Wight, and others.
Yeah.
How do you see the complementary nature of that? Because I know some people often view them as, it's one or another. In fact, they're all doing slightly different things to different audiences.
I think you make the point yourself. I don't think there's much more to say, but that is exactly as it is. Style of Wight, the radio, on the Wight, ourselves, are all doing very different things, and it makes for an interesting media landscape, with lots of chance for people to pick and choose how they want to consume news, information, entertainment, whatever. How many of you have got your own businesses? Can I just throw a question back to you? And do any of you have issues about getting your messages across to the media as such, or do you struggle with that, or are you happy with the way that you can do that?
I think it's more getting the message to your customer, and how can the media help you is probably the better question, I think.
And I suppose that's the thorny question of what's advertising and what's news, isn't
Exactly.
it? As I said, we're not there to do free advertising.
Yeah.
We cut our own throats by doing that, but it's we want to be supportive, want to help, and I think we try and get the balance right of that. But it is hard to. I think the answer to that would be to have conversations with advertising departments in whatever media you're thinking of using, and I'm sure they can point you in the right way.
I know I advertised a job for administrator in County Press, and we had 99 applications.
Good.
So that really did hit the spot.
Yeah.
But then other advertising I've done hasn't. So it's knowing how people are consuming the media. The readership's one thing, but it's how are people consuming the advertising.
Yeah.
And there's different markets. So a job-seeking market really does consume it.
I think yes, definitely. I mean, I think we know that, and we have that balance of we don't put the jobs online until after the print deadline, just trying to preserve our readership.
Yeah.
But more and more people are saying we want it to go on immediately, and we're looking at ways of doing that. So things do change, but we work very hard now on terms of supplements and features where editorial is backing advertising, and that is a very popular way of advertising these days. And Dale will know how much his clients value that, and it's added value. You can't argue with that. That's useful to people, and they seem to welcome. for instance, if we're doing a home style feature about, you know, doing up your house, you know, that is it's a fascinating piece of work, you know, to read, you know, what you could get in your house, what new products are out there, what services are out there to help you do, you know, make your home into what you want it to. You know. We do that with gardens, with you know, 4x4 cars. We've got those coming up in weeks to come. You know, those sort of things are, you know, really useful to people and seem to be valued by our advertising customers.
Do you buy syndicated news? Yeah.
No. Occasionally, I will say no, but occasionally we do if a IsleOfWight story's happened in a London courtroom, we'll buy that story.
Okay.
But we won't buy just national news.
No.
We're not interested in that. It's purely about the IsleOfWight. Okay, anybody else got any questions? I mean, hoping I've helped you a little bit with the way you could get your messages across. If anybody wants to speak to me, you know, about anything, I've got some business cards here, and I'll be very happy to point you in any directions I can, and answer any questions you might have privately. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.